Well, I'm finally back as it's now time for Week 12 of the 2021 DCFL season. So as we get ready for the week, let's take a look at last week's results as see the Indianapolis Rabbit Stallions clinch the playoff spot as they lead the Eastern Conference. Then it's Jacksonville, Philadelphia with the teams going to the playoffs right now with Baltimore, New York, and Boston behind. And the Western Conference, it's Chicago with the division lead. Then it's Oakland, Seattle, Tacoma, San Diego, and finally Kansas City. Alright, so we take a look at the schedule for Week 12 as it starts off with My Charm visiting the Kansas City Arrowheads. Then it's going to be a big one. It's the rematch of the DCFL championship last year as Chicago visits Indianapolis. And it'll be San Diego at Jacksonville, Seattle at New York, that's a big one. And then Boston at Tacoma, that's a big one. And finally the biggest matchup as Philadelphia visits Oakland. And here are the results for Week 12 as My Charm got absolutely obliterated by Kansas City Arrowheads 41-7. Then still had chances. We're on the verge of having another losing season just like Kansas City is. Then in the championship rematch, Chicago tried to keep it competitive, but in the end they got blown out by Indianapolis 41-21 in the rematch. They're now 12-0. And then San Diego at Jacksonville. San Diego put a hard-fought effort. They actually took the lead quite late into the game, but Jacksonville held on to win it 23-17 to get their another winning season as San Diego has a losing season once again. Then, below that, Seattle and New York. New York pretty much was in control for the entire game, and they won it 26-13 as they're now 5-7. Seattle fell to 5-7. Then Boston went to Tacoma and actually beat the Slashers in a defensive slugfest as Tacoma went down to the goal line just like San Diego did against Jacksonville, but wasn't enough to get in as Boston held on to get the upset as they're 5-7. Tacoma's now 5-7 after they were 5-4 earlier in the year. And finally wrapped it up with San Diego at Oakland as Oakland won a defensive struggle 17-9. Alright, so now we take a look at the stands now with just 4 weeks left as Indianapolis now leads at 12-0, Jacksonville at 9-3, and Philadelphia at 6-6. They're in the playoffs of the season today as New York has a tiebreaker over Boston, and Boston's 5th as My Charm fall all the way down to last place in the division. Then in the Western Conference, Oakland now leads the division again with the tiebreaker over Chicago. Chicago falls to 2nd place. Seattle has a tiebreaker over Tacoma as they're the 3rd seed. Tacoma fell down to the 4th seed. Kansas City is the 5th seed, and San Diego is now last place as the 6th seed. And then for divisions, the playoffs matchups, Indianapolis hosts Jacksonville this week, so if they win, they clinch number 1 seed with 3 weeks remaining. If Jacksonville wins, they will clinch a playoff spot, though, and nothing else otherwise in the Eastern Conference. Alright, so now here we go looking at the schedule for Week 13 as it's going to start off with the Philadelphia Sonics at the Baltimore Charm, and then the huge division matchup as Jacksonville visits Indianapolis. Playoff spots and the number 1 seed on the line. Then it'll be New York at Boston. That's a big one for a possible wild card spot still. Then it'll be Kansas City at Seattle. That's big. And then the division lead in the Western Conference on the line as Chicago visits Oakland. And then finally wrap it up with San Diego visiting Tacoma. And there we go. 12 weeks in. We got 4 more left to go before we get to the playoffs. So see you guys next time for Week 13.